Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Well, I'm here on Esoteric Atlanta, but pretty soon one day we'll be shooting this from Fusion Buddy Studio with my friend and business partner, my partner in crime, Paula. How are you doing, Paula?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm so good. I love when we do these early morning shows because our Aussies get to join us.
Hi, Shane.
Because you guys have already lived your Tuesday over in Australia, and it is 6 o'clock in the morning here on the East Coast of the United States, New York time. And we're just starting our Tuesday. So that means it's 5 o'clock in the morning Central time, 4 o'clock in the morning Mountain time, and 3 o'clock in the morning West Coast. So, and I don't even want to guess what time it is in Alaska or Hawaii because there are many hours. So in continental United States, we got 4 time zones. Then you add in Alaska and Hawaii, and it becomes a totally different thing. So I always say for our Americans specifically, we're fully aware most of you guys are going to be watching the replay because it is so early in the morning, and school is back here in the United States. Kids went back to school. So we know parents, their mornings. Paula's a mom. She knows how those mornings can be when you're trying to get all your little ones out the door with matching socks and shoes on the right feet and
breakfast, lunch is done, bags packed.
So we absolutely understand for the replay. It's totally fine, you guys. We get it. And good luck to all of the little kids that are going back to school. We hope that you have an incredible year in America. So good morning. We got an American here. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Got Shane. I always laugh for all of our Australians, for Paula and Shane and everyone. It's like, so you're our time travels. How was Tuesday? How was it?
Just coming from the future. Well, it's dinner time over here now.
We just started our Tuesday. So I am so excited. First of all, you guys, just a little teaser. Paula and Todd have been working really hard to really clean up the website and make it really easy to use. And we had a meeting on Saturday to look at everything, and I'm really excited. I can't wait for us to be able to show you guys the new design of the website. And hopefully it'll make it a whole lot easier to use. Right now, the website is still, you're working the night shift. Good job working the night shift's hard. So right now on Fusion Buddy Studio, obviously the website is up. You can use it. You can use all the workouts that's there. But we're just going to be, we're really like trying to make it so it's easier to find the workouts. It's easy. Everything's organized in a very user-friendly way because we know, like we said, so many people are running off to work or taking kids to school. And so we want to make it as easy and quick as possible for you guys. Also, another thing I wanted to remind people, if there is music that you want on a workout, or if there is something you really want me to focus on in a workout, let me know, because otherwise I'm just going to keep, you're at your dining room table drinking some tea. Good for you. I'm still sitting on the floor groggy from sleep, but so let us know, let Paula and me know. We just had our one of our Aussies, Mandy, had suggested a Prince workout, and so we did a whole heart on a hatha kind of flush with Prince. And so I'm totally up for suggestions and hearing what you guys want. That makes it easier for me to serve you the best that I can. Is there anything you want to say, Paula, before we get into it?
Yeah, well, just the same with requests for the post-workout meditations and with tapping videos and things like that. We love getting requests from everybody, and just because, we're making this membership for you guys to help you guys and with whatever issues that you guys have and want to work on. So that's our prime focus, really. So definitely let us know because we're happy to do that.
Absolutely. And I want to say, Shane, I do the early morning shows on the floor in my front room because I'm terrified I'm going to wake my neighbors up. So because my desk is in our bedroom, and the bedroom of the people that live above us, their bedroom's above our bedroom. And so I'm always afraid that I'm going to wake them up. And so I always come out here for morning shows. Speaking of, Tamara and I are going to do another live this Friday at 6 a.m. my time, which I know is 6 p.m. for you, Paula. I think that's 8 p.m. over in Melbourne on Friday. We are only doing those lives on Rumble. You guys know why. So Rumble, just a heads up, YouTube, you can schedule lives well in advance. Rumble, you cannot. Rumble, you can only schedule one live at a time, and it has to be like 12 hours before you want to go live.
Oh.
So you'll see the live pop up like on Thursday, 12 hours before we go live with Tamara. So just to let you guys know that, because we're not going to be on YouTube for that one. And so and yeah, Rumble also, it's kind of cool. Rumble makes you set a preview video to do a live, not just set like on YouTube. You just put a thumb, right? And so that's why I always just pick a song. It has to be 1 minute 20 seconds to go with whatever we're talking about, and I put the thumbnail just because you have to on Rumble, which I think is kind of cool. Like, it's kind of cool. It sets the mood for the live. So, you know what? I have said this, and I'll say this until I'm blue in the face. I don't know. Before we get into it, Paula, just a little shout out to the Australians. I don't know if you saw the episode that Tamara and I did last Friday live. We got to do it live, and we had so many Australians in the audience, and we were talking about sovereignty and freedom and like what a republic is versus a constitutional monarchy, which is what we're looking at. Mm-hmm. And we had so many people in the audience from Australia saying, well, most Australians, they're just lazy. They don't want to they don't care to change. And I reminded you guys that only 3% of the colonists actually fought in the American Revolution. It doesn't take many to make change. And I will say this to the Australians. I've been so blessed to travel and live in so many different places in the world. And my second favorite country outside of my own, of course, is Australia, because Australians and Americans are very similar in culture.
Yeah, it's
very similar. Very tough people. As Michelle Obama, the one thing I agree with Michelle Obama, she said once Americans are scrappy. I agree with her, and so are Australians. We're scrappy. Right. So anyway, so Australians, culture is very similar, especially in the southern part of the United States. We both Americans and Australians have a wild wilderness to deal with, crazy animals to deal with, on a daily basis. And the heat. So we're very similar. So I have a special place in my heart for the Australians. And I think if the Australians decided they wanted,
we feel the same way about you guys.
If the Australians wanted to claim independence from Great Britain, from King Charles, I think they could do it in 5 minutes, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think they could do it in 5 minutes. I don't think you have to throw tea in the ocean like we did and fight a war. I think you could do it in like 5 minutes. And as we said on Friday's show, that because the American military serves the Constitution, mm-hmm. the American military really can't assist when like the monarchy is involved, because that's treason. So if the Australians did declare independence, the American military at that point would come in and assist.
Right.
So mm-hmm. I have a very special place in my heart for the Aussies. We have a shared history, the Americans and the Australians do. So I think I love you guys, and I think you guys are tough and you're scrappy, and you can definitely, you're considered hillbillies. So, well, I'm from the South, Shane. So same, they call us rednecks down here, and mm-hmm. But I these small little towns all over the world where these hillbillies or rednecks live, turns out since 2020, like they're the smartest people of them all, because they're the ones that don't comply, right?
Yeah, mm-hmm. That's right.
So I would take that as a compliment, Shane. I would take that as a compliment. I'll remind you guys. So in the United States, before we get into metacognition, when Hurricane Helene hit North Carolina, which we know what that was, right? 'Cause that's in the Appalachia Mountains. Like, that's really mountain people. Like, and they don't get hurricanes. It was crazy that happened. Well, you guys remember that mess. We got a lot of letters through Australian One that I sent, that party that I sent up to North Carolina for the people that were struggling because their houses were gone, bodies were in trees, all that kind of stuff. Well, FEMA came to North Carolina, and they're supposed to help. That's their government arm that's supposed to help in crises. But FEMA was telling the people of North Carolina that were going to try to climb up into these cities that they couldn't climb up into the cities. And when I say that, like the mountains of Appalachia, if you're not familiar with those mountains, you shouldn't be hiking them because they're very dangerous. But these people are from this area, like those are their mountains, like they know how to get into these towns when the roads are shut down. They know the trails to go on. Well, all these FEMA dorks from DC, these little city boys, were trying to tell the locals, no, you can't go up there to help your people. And so in our Constitution, it basically says that the American people have not a right, but a duty to remove tyrannical government. And so a bunch of the North Carolina hillbillies did a citizen's arrest and beat up the FEMA guys and handcuffed them and marched their asses up to the cities in North Carolina that needed their help. And, so at that point, my respect is hardcore for people who are able to not be afraid. They're tough. They do it anyway. And of course, in the United States, they did not get in trouble because that's in our Constitution that we're allowed to do that. We're allowed to defy the government if it's tyrannical. And so, so we humans, us peasants, we're a whole lot stronger than we think we are. So anyway.
Yeah, and I think just good on those people for doing that. Seriously.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what are you just going to let everybody just starve and die?
Yeah, these people needed water, they needed insulin, they needed, and the men who were hiking up, they know the mountains. They're
they know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing. They know where to go. They know how to handle it. They know how to hike. And so, if the Americans can do it, the Australians can do it too.
Yeah,
easy.
Absolutely.
Easy. So anyway, with that being said, we're going to talk about metacognition today. I'm excited about this. How about you, Paula?
Yeah, me too. I think it's a really fascinating subject. And I think I find it because I'm all about empowering stuff. And I think it's a very empowering subject because it's about, not just letting your mind control with your thoughts. It's about, being aware of and choosing what thoughts you want to have instead of just letting your thoughts just
define you.
Be automatic. Yeah.
And it's so funny, Paula, because, I've been studying Eastern philosophy going on 20 years now. And a lot of the Eastern philosophy people think is like woo-woo, like everyone always thinks yoga is like woo-woo, and it's actually not. Like Patanjali and the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali was a scientist 5,000 years ago. And so when you read the Yoga Sutras, it reads like a scientific study, right? Like Patanjali has this theory about human suffering, and he's writing down through all these experiments with the body, with this concept of yoga. And basically what yoga really is metacognition. And what I find fascinating is we have this idea that these ancient theories are woo-woo and hooky, but no, science is actually finding legitimacy behind the claims that Patanjali was making 5,000 years ago. And so metacognition is literally the second sutra of the first pada, which we quote a lot. And that second sutra of the first pada of the Yoga Sutras is Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. That's Sanskrit. And it means that yoga, chitta is the brain, the mind. Vritti is like thoughts that ricochet out of the mind, like waves in an ocean that come out of our mind. And Nirodha means nothingness. So yoga is literally about the thoughts and how to control your thoughts. That's what it is, right? Mm-hmm. And so then Patanjali takes the rest of the rest of the first pada and the other three padas to kind of explain, you can't divorce yourself from your mind in this life. So what are we really talking about here? And so it goes deeper in the Yoga Sutras, where Patanjali speculates that we call it the human condition in our modern times, the human condition, suffering, right? That's why we have great art, great music, great songs. It's because of the human condition. This is why we still study Shakespeare all these years later. It's not because of the time period. It's because Shakespeare covers jealousy, deceit, all stuff we still, betrayal that we still deal with in that human condition. And so that's what Patanjali, Todd often says that Patanjali and the original yogis were the OG conspiracy theorist, right? Because they realized something wasn't right. Something's not right here. How are we immortal but mortal at the same time? Right? That was kind of the conundrum. And Patanjali theorized that all of our fears, all of our suffering as humans, basically comes down to this fear of mortality. And that fear of mortality is because we are confused. We're confused because we have a veil of amnesia. So who we think we are permanently, forever and ever, is just temporary. And so that's cognitive dissonance, right? That's what we call it now. It's that conflicting of I live forever, but I also don't. And so Patanjali starts to talk about what we call metacognition. Now, he didn't call it metacognition. He called it the sakshi, right? The witness. So basically, metacognition is thinking about thinking. Wild, yeah? It's deep self-reflection.
Yeah.
So it's being able to divorce yourself from the commands of your mind. And our mind works in so many different aspects, right? Like and when we look at, when we look at organs in the body, right? Good morning, Jojo. When we look at organs in the body, every organ from our perspective at Fusion Body Studio, because we're fusing ancient wisdom with modern movement. So every single organ in your body represents something biological, but also something energetic. So like the kidneys help filter, but they also represent future. They also connect to the knees. So if you have kidney problems or knee problems, that's can, in a very general sense, be fear of the future. Goes a little deeper than that, depending on which side and all that kind of stuff. If you have like a liver issue, like also liver is detoxing organ, but that represents anger. And so at Fusion Body Studio, as well as like holistic science, yeah, Western medicine is great. Great for like emergency situations, right? But if we really want to solve a health problem, we have to look at the energetic response of what's going on mentally, because the mind is controlling everything. The mind is manifesting everything, right? So when we look at the brain, the actual organ of the brain, the function of the brain in the biological sense is basically to keep you alive, to keep everything running. But in the energetic sense, it's showing you the ego, the false sense itself. So there's the brain has things that it does that we're not aware of, like controlling the heart and the lungs. And, eventually you don't have to think too much about walking, right? We talked about neuroplasticity, right? Your body just kind of learns to do it. And you don't have to think about it. Your brain just fires off. When we have, our cortisol and our adrenal glands fire off, the brain recognizes immediate danger. We have to act in a split second, right? It's all coming from the pattern recognition of the brain, or like when mothers, we've seen mothers lift Mack trucks off their babies before, that intense
something just takes over.
It's coming from a firing of the brain to give that body that emphasis. But the brain also, so that's really important. Like your brain is super important. We want you to think, right? That your brain is here to keep you alive. But the brain also lies to you. Yeah. And that comes from a lot of the subconscious stuff as well. And it's not lying to you in a sense to make your life miserable. It's trying to keep you alive.
It's protecting you. And just from different programming and things like that we've learned from childhood, and different beliefs that we've adopted. And it just runs on automatic. Like when you first learn how to ride a bike or drive a car, you're so conscious of every single thing that you're doing, but then over time it becomes automatic. And then that happens with habits and everyday practices. Just becomes
once that neuroplasticity kicks in, your brain the language is learned. Well, that also goes, did you guys get the Dr. Phil show in Australia?
Yeah, we get that over here.
I remember watching, this was years ago, I think I was like just out of college or something, and it was on in the background, and he said, and I can't remember exactly how he said it, but he said something pretty profound. He said, when you grow up with, like, let's say critical parents, or in an environment where you're maybe even bullied, I don't want to go as far as say abused, because it doesn't even have to be to that extent. It could just be parents that are critical. At some point, you take over for them. You start criticizing yourself for them.
Interesting.
You pick that up, you adapt that, and you don't even realize. How many of us do things or say something and we go like, oh my God, I sound just like my mom, or oh my God, I sound just like my, it just came out of nowhere. The brain is picking that up because when you were a child, that was your survival, right? In any situation, in good or bad situations, right? And so what metacognition does, it's to remember your and to also just observe your thoughts, right? So like so many people, we feel, and thoughts are, let's kind of get that. What is a thought? So a thought is a thought, but it's also an emotion, a sensation. It comes from thought. And so I tell my students a lot, like and that's when the body, when you start to open things in the body or you start to feel certain things come up, because the body is storing things for the mind. And, a lot of my students will feel a bout of anger or frustration, and they want to figure out why. And part of me is like, that's not even important. The story's not even important. What's important is fleshing that feeling. And that's the metacognition. So also what happens too is when we stop believing our brain. So let's talk about exercise for example. I'm just going to be really honest with you guys. This is not going to be great marketing for us, but no one likes to exercise. No one does. No, I don't like it. I do it religiously 6 days a week, but I don't like it. I'm not like, this is the best thing of my day. It's a discipline. It's something I do. So when we talk about metacognition, or the sakshi, as it's said in Sanskrit, the witness, when we start to challenge the brain, we can't really challenge the thoughts or challenge the brain when we feel good, right? When things are just blissful. That's not the time to separate yourself from the experience and observe the experience. The time to do that is when you want to run from the experience. Does that make sense, Paula? Stop me if I'm not making sense.
Yeah, because I think when things are comfortable, so like if we look at it from the perspective of Kabbalah, they say that there's no growth is going to happen when things are light, because in the light there's already light. There's you're not going to grow from that. But when there's darkness, when there's a challenge, when there's thoughts that are feeling very negative, and you're just like, I don't want to do this, I don't want to be in this, then that's where the transformation can happen. That's where you can bring the light into the darkness, and that's where growth can happen. It doesn't happen when things are easy and enjoyable.
No, not at all. So like for example, like when you're in that exercise, I'm going to pick something. Let's talk about running. Running's a hard one, right? Cardio is hard for a lot of people because your breath is restricted, plain and simple. And so your mind starts to panic, right? And so all of a sudden these thoughts are negotiating with you. Stop, this hurts. Stop. You need to stop. You might feel your anxiety rise a little bit. But metacognition is experiencing that sensation and deciding to keep going anyway. Because you're divorcing yourself from the lie of the mind. Now, that being said, the mind is not always lying to you. So I'm not saying like if you're in a situation where your gut's telling you to leave, you probably should leave. But like in an exercise environment, nothing bad is going to happen to you, right? Like nothing bad is going to happen to you in a bar class. Nothing bad is going to happen to you. You logically know that. Logic knows that you're fine. You're in an and logically, your life's not in danger because you could literally stop at any moment. You're in control, right? And so it's having those thoughts, or like also, sometimes exercise can be a little bit boring. You're doing the same thing over and over again. And that's the mind. Oh God, I don't want to do this. It's boring, but doing it anyway. So those thoughts that you're having about whatever experience you're in, they're never going to, I'm telling you, 20 years later, never going to go away. We've talked about this before. The biggest thing I do to try to get out of my mind tries to do is laundry. For some reason, like every day I get on my mat and start thinking about laundry. It's my mind trying to remove me from that situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not about suppressing that, right? Because you can't suppress it. It's about experiencing those thoughts, acknowledging that they're there, but moving forward anyway and continue to go anyway while the brains, I always think of it as, there's this really funny TikTok going around, Paula, and you'll understand as a mom. And it's at an airport, and it's this mother, and she's holding a baby, and she's got like a toddler on like one of those child leashes. And the toddler's laying on the airport floor, and the mom's just pulling the toddler. And
dragging the toddler along the floor.
Reacting, and like nobody's stopping her. Like everybody understands she's got to get to her, So I kind of reckon it that way, like with the mind, like when you're doing your exercise and your brain is throwing a temper tantrum, it's like that child just being pulled along on the floor of the airport. You're just kind of pulling it like, yeah, just come on. And so, I had this yesterday. I was so sore yesterday in my practice, and I was about halfway through it. And it was one of those days where I was like, oh my God, my body is shaking. I'm so sore. And my mind was like playing those games like, oh my God, Brice, you work out all the time. You can just cut it at 30 minutes today. And right when that happened, I was like, no, thank you for the suggestion. And I went deeper into the squat. I'm going to now take my focus deeper into the squat. You can stay over here and have a freak out if you want, but I'm going to go deeper into the squat and see what happens. Right. So that's really when I have beginner students, beginner students will come in and they'll see more experienced students having a cleaner practice. Well, guess what? That's going to happen over time. That's neuroplasticity, right? That's practice makes perfect. But I always tell my beginner students that the biggest difference between them and the more experienced students is that the more experienced students know how to handle their minds. They've learned how to handle their minds.
It makes me think of like stoicism, doesn't it? It's just like, you've got to kind of get to the point where you don't let your mind control and your emotions take control of your life, because that's where it's just all of the subconscious fears and past issues have come up and just want to fight, but that's not always what's best for us. It's just doing what our subconscious mind thinks is protecting us and keeping us safe.
Exactly.
But really, we might have needed that at the time that those beliefs formed,
yeah,
when we were a little child, but now we know logically what's safe and what's good for us, and it's like, yeah, we just got to learn to not let those thoughts talk us out of what is best for us now.
And Shane, I will say that's a big one. So, and that's not just your age. I have people in their 20s who are afraid of injury. And so what I tell them is like, well, first of all, so thank you for bringing that up. Injury is always going to happen at some point. Like you just got to have to accept that. Like that's just kind of part of it. The human body is constantly breaking and rebuilding and breaking and rebuilding. Now, with that being said, with a teacher, we work our hardest to try to prevent injury. Absolutely. And there's this great, I'll see if I can find it, Paula, and send it to you. It's a very old video of David Grieg, my original teacher. And he's talking about chaturanga. And if you guys know Infusion Body, we have done some chaturanga classes. In the last class we loaded, we reminded people, a lot of times women, so chaturanga is like when you're in plank and you lower and you hover. Especially with women tend to injure their shoulders a lot in chaturanga because women are bottom heavy. And so what happens is that women tend to dump their leg weight into their shoulders and their shoulders go out of alignment. That's why we work a lot with protraction, retraction. I just put a video up about that, the protraction and the retraction. And so there's steps we can take with a woman to build her strength so that she doesn't, it does happen with men on a rare occasion, but men are top heavy, so they typically don't have the same problem women do. And David Grieg gives this whole lecture about like what we do to check alignment, to make sure we're going to not be stupid and prevent injury as best as possible. But then he stops himself and he says, there's one exception to this though. And that exception is karma. Sometimes karmically, an injury has to happen. It doesn't make the injury wrong in that sense. Sometimes karmically, that's going to have to happen in the body to get you to totally course correct, to understand the necessary steps taking. Because as Cindy says, my friend Cindy, and I love how she says, all an injury is, so this might take your fear away, Shane. All an injury is your body asking you to redirect your energy. That's all it is. Mm-hmm. The body's just asking you for a redirect, right?
So it's just like a correction.
Yeah, and sometimes we can correct something in one class where we just change our alignment and it's correct. Mm-hmm. So that might not have been a place of karma for us. But where something is really stubborn, and no matter how many times a teacher has tried to correct our alignment, it's just not correcting and we have an injury, that's probably karmic and therefore necessary. Mm-hmm. And so I don't want, the last thing I want for people to be is to be afraid of injury. Again, we don't want to be stupid. We want to make sure we're trying the best we can, but we also need to understand that in the bigger scope of things, the body holds the karma. And sometimes that is going to help us. My sacrum, for example, I broke my sacrum in 2016. I had a pity party for like a good few weeks after I did that.
Yeah, I probably would too.
Right? I could hardly walk. Well, let me tell you, if I had not broken my sacrum, I wouldn't be sitting here with Paula right now, talking to you guys. Before I broke my sacrum, all I was doing was Ashtanga. That was it. Hardcore, back and forth to India. And when I broke my sacrum, I all of a sudden had to, redirect my energy to allow my sacrum to heal.
So it forced you to try a different form of exercise.
Right. Because in Ashtanga, we take very extreme postures like behind the head, back handsprings, catching your ankles. And when the sacrum is broken, that's not accessible in that moment. But things like, I had never taken Barre before. And my one of my best friends, who's a movement therapist, I met him in India, he lives in Canada. He had first suggested Pilates to me to help. And I'm not really a huge fan. I know a lot of people love Pilates. I'm not a fan of Pilates just because I think they rip a lot off of yoga and it kind of makes me a little mad. It's a lot of there's some copyright issues there, I think, some theft issues there. And also Pilates to me doesn't really have a beginning, middle, and end like a yoga class does or a Barre class does. It just seems very chaotic. Nonetheless, so Chris was finally like, well, if you don't like Pilates, there's this other exercise class that's getting really popular called Barre. He's like, it's based off of dance, but it's more about the strength of dance. Mm-hmm. And he was like, they're not going to ask you to do the work that Ashtanga asks you to do as far as like the extreme postures. It's going to be more focusing on your lower pelvic floor to really bring that strength back to help heal your sacrum. And so that's when I found Barre. And it totally changed my life. It changed my practice. It made me stronger. Obviously, that's one of the main things we teach on Fusion Body. It's hard as hell. It's so hard in a very different way than yoga is. And so when we think about injuries, when an injury comes into our life, we have choices. Like that's what karma is choices, right? So when my sacrum broke, I had a choice. I could quit everything and stay in that pity party, or I could do something about it. Mm-hmm. And I'm so glad that I'd had all those years of yoga prior to that break, like 10 years prior to the break, because I understood at that point, my mind was telling me to have a pity party. And I did have a pity party for a few weeks. Don't get me wrong, I was pissed. But then once I was kind of over myself and over it, I thought, okay, it is what it is. I can't change it. My sacrum's broken. It is what it is. So how am I now going to work with this? And so for any injuries, for anything going on in your body, it's not a punishment. So stop seeing injury as something necessarily bad, right? We have been trained in the Western world to see any form of discomfort as bad, and it's not.
Yeah, I really love that. I love that, even in the most challenging of times, that we can see things. Oh, hi, Alicia. I really love that when we can look at things instead of looking at them as good or bad, but just seeing what is in that challenging situation for us. There's so often there is something good that comes out of that. Mm-hmm. If we just stretch our mind and have a look to see what positive thing there is in there.
And
because
sit with
it
it.
is.
Just sit with it for a moment and talk to the injury. And for me, I've already had back surgery, so obviously that area of my body is a karmic spot for me. So it's not shocking, even though somebody else broke my sacrum. It wasn't me that did it, but it's still not a shock to me that happened, because there was obviously still some karma there that needed to be worked out, right? And so where we have our propensity, like some people have a propensity to have bad knees. They'll have one knee that's like always jacked up. Some people it's their shoulder. A lot of people it's the back. And so you're not cursed. Like that's not, it's actually, and I always quote Ram Dass, because instead of seeing something as bad, see it as interesting.
Yeah.
Like, why do I keep spraining the same ankle?
Mm-hmm.
Why do I keep hurting the same shoulder? And you'll go on this adventure of discovery, where you start to learn so much about yourself and about your karma and about limitations in your subconscious mind, thought patterns that you weren't even aware of. And once you start to that's what I actually love about Hinduism. One of the things I love about Hinduism is that their demons, now I do believe in actual demons, but for this conversation, we're going to talk about the Hindu perspective of demons. They don't see their demons as bad.
Mm-hmm.
They see their demons as demonstrators, as teachers. And when you stop fearing the monster under the bed, the monster isn't under the bed anymore. Right? Yeah, it's so Alicia just said the last year has been pretty intense, but I'm learning to enjoy the process, that I needed to backtrack and learn more about myself and the lessons needed to help my karma. Exactly, Alicia. And we're not athletes. Like, we work like athletes, but we're not training for anything. We're not going to audition for Cirque du Soleil. We're not auditioning for the Olympics. There's no finish line. So it's just one big exploration, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't even care for people to worry about what they even like look like. Like I don't, your body's going to change when you work out. Of course it is. That's just going to happen anyway. But don't let that be your focus. Let your focus be self-discovery. Learning more things about yourself, about things you're holding on to. We have 3 karmas in our realm of experience, right? We have our own personal karma, which is things from our life now and our past lives. Then we have our familiar karma we inherited through our DNA. And then we have collective karma, which boy, oh boy, are we in a collective karma right now. But when we talk about like inherited karma, like people think, oh, because my mother had breast cancer, I'm destined to have that. Well, not necessarily. Mm-hmm. And second of all, if you get that, take that power back and say, okay, I signed up for this. I wanted this from my mother, because there's something that I can learn, and use that. And once you take that fear away of this thing, this injury or this sickness being bigger than you, once you remove that off the table and you see it as a demonstrator, as a helper, it loses its power. It doesn't lose its power. Actually, it becomes a strength for you. And so I wouldn't, and of course, depending on your level of fitness, like, you're not going to never run a day in your life and then decide to sign up for a marathon, right? We have to be practical about that. And we have to like start where you are and build up from there. How many people do we have? I get this text all the time from people where when they started with us, they could barely do a 20-minute video, and now they feel like an hour isn't enough.
Yeah. So many. Yeah, that's right. And so for you, Shane, being 70, it's not really about the age so much. It's just, you just start at one point and you just keep practicing with it and just keep moving with it. And it's just, I think it's, you don't want to give into the fear of, obviously you don't want to push yourself past what's not safe for you, because we're not recommending that at all. But also you become stronger the more you practice. Mm-hmm. So just within a few months even, you'll be so much stronger and your body will be able to handle so much more. And the stronger your body gets, the muscles, but also the bones get stronger as well from exercise. Yeah. So then you can handle more types of exercise that you couldn't handle when you first start. And it's just, you get, and so it's not only your muscles get stronger and your bones get stronger, your mind gets stronger as well, and it starts affecting all areas of your life.
So, and let's just go to worst case scenario. What happens if you decide to go for a long walk and you well, and we can, Shane, let me pull it up. If you message me, I can help you with that for your shoulder. All right. So push-ups for you now, if your shoulders are not stable enough for push-ups, that might not be what we do with you right now. There might be some alternatives that you can do, like doing push-ups against the wall.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, there's bench and wall push-ups that would be much better to start off with until you get strong enough to do that, definitely.
Because I would say, as a man, if you're having shoulder issues in push-ups, that's telling me as a teacher that something's going on with your core. So I would say let's focus on, and of course I don't see you face to face, so I would be able to diagnose better if I could actually be face to face with you. So I want to make that clear, because Paula and I are not with you guys. We're just taking the information you're giving us through a computer. So if you really want an accurate diagnosis, I would go to like in person and just take what we say as a grain of salt, because we're just working with what we've got through Zoom. But what that's telling me, Shane, is that oh, did you send an email to me? Okay, cool. I'll see. Was it to Esoteric Atlanta? I'll have to go back and check and make sure I got it. So with you, Shane, I would say let's work on your core a little bit and see if that doesn't help your shoulder, because that might be what's causing pain in your shoulder, is that the core is not engaged. And there's many ways you can do that. You can go straight to like getting a ball, like a recess ball, play ball, soccer ball or something, and putting it in between your inner legs and doing push-ups, squeezing the ball, and that will force your core to engage. Or you can do it against a wall, squeezing the ball with your legs, because your adductors, the inner muscles of your inner thigh, go up into your pelvic floor. They connect up there, so that's why that will trigger the core. Or we just scrap push-ups for now and we work specifically on the core, and then we bring push-ups back in once the core feels a little bit more stable. So there's always, and that's why it's really important, again, for everybody who's a fusion body, if there's something in your body that keeps nagging at you, like email us or email me, because 9 times out of 10 it's going to be a nag that's just going to go away on its own. It's just something working itself out. But sometimes, like in Shane's situation, there are things we can do
to help support.
Yeah. Like we get wrist 25 years. Yeah. So and Shane, look at which I don't know if it's your right or your left shoulder, but left is masculine. Right is masculine, left is feminine. And of course it's way more in depth than that. This is just an overview. And it doesn't necessarily mean mommy or daddy issues. It could be like for women, sometimes when they have the right side of their body has issues, it's not necessarily a daddy issue. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's a woman's fear of being able to support herself, right? So, right. So that's the masculine side. So I would, Shane, too, this could be homework for you. So that's your shadow work, Shane. When you said you emailed me, but this is your shadow work. So if I were you, I would look into like spiritual meanings. You can even do a quick Google search and just read. There's going to be multiple articles that pop up, and whichever one resonates with you, where people explain like the right shoulder issue from an energetic perspective. Or Paula, you do quantum healing. Like this is part of that as well. You know, you can do all the medical stuff. That's great. I mean, that medical stuff is going to help take the pain away, but the Western medicine only treats the symptoms, not the root cause.
And not understand, the emotional and spiritual reasons behind different injuries and things that we have. Yeah. There's often a different message.
It could also be overuse of the right side of your body. So it could be, that happened to me. So I don't know if you guys can see on my shoulders, my right shoulder sits slightly a bit higher than my left. It's a little bit uneven in its natural state. This is always tighter than that side. And it's because I overuse I try to compensate for my left side a lot, and I overuse the right side.
Well, I overuse the left side And when having my girls when they were babies and I'd toddlers and I'd pick them up, I'd always carry them on the left side because it felt more comfortable to me, and it feels awkward on the right side. But then you have the issue, and I often do get shoulder pain on my left side because that's where I'll put my handbag, that's where I'll carry things, and
So Western medicine would tell you that's probably what you did, but Eastern medicine is saying, but why?
But why? Yeah.
But why? And so why did you put so much emphasis on your right shoulder? And only you can really, that's the beautiful thing about shadow work really, is only you can answer that question. And sometimes you think you figured out why, and then the problem will persist and you're like, oh, that's not why. So you have to go a little bit deeper. Right. So
it's really interesting when you start questioning why certain things have happened. Like even with my left hip, I have some issues with my left hip, and I was doing some questioning. Oh, I'm left-handed too, Shane. And it was really interesting because what surprised me was what came up for me when I was going in and questioning was just different. It was actually issues to do with love and relationships, and I was not expecting that at all. But, for anybody, if it does interest them, I do actually have a healing meditation on my YouTube channel, which actually encourages you. It's not like just a relaxing meditation. It's actually an active meditation because it's actually making you think about where you have an injury or an illness, whatever illness you might have, or if you have an injury, then it takes you to, or it helps to words aren't coming out right, but it helps you to sit with and ask yourself, okay, what is this trying to tell me? What is this injury or this illness trying to tell me? Yeah. So it's a really good one because it can just help you to, thanks for sharing that. But so it's a good one because it encourages you to sit with your body and to sit with that pain or injury or illness that's going on and try and find out what is it trying to tell you, because so many of our injuries and illnesses and things that we have is trying to tell us something.
And it's not punishing you. And that's interesting, Shane, that you're left-handed and your right side's blown out. So I would guess it has something to do with what Paula is saying, is that you're hardened. You're trying to harden around the left side. And that's why it's like using a shield in battle that gets worn out, because it's just taking so many hits, and you're not just allowing the left side. And I also want to show something. I'm going to stand up for this, guys. Excuse me. It's early in the morning, and yes, I'm on my living room because it's early in the morning. So let me show you guys in the body for a second. You have diagonal lines, right? So Shane, this is also something we work with diagonal through the axis. So the axis of the body is that middle line, which we have videos on that fusion body. Yeah. So that's also Sushumna. So all of the chakras line up through the axis, right? And the energy pulls up through the body. But then you have crisscross and you have spirals as well. Okay, so sometimes what's happening, if your right shoulder is bum, look at your left hip or your left hip. Yeah, because sometimes it's not actually even coming. It's coming from the diagonal line of energy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or sometimes when the right knee will hurt, it might be coming from the left hip.
Yeah.
It could be coming from the right hip, but don't take out the opposite as well. Yeah.
And often if we have an issue, like, so for example, when I think I was like 3 or 4 years old, I was riding on the back of my sister's bike, and she said, whatever you do, don't put your feet down because it'll get caught in the wheel. So what do? I put my foot down, it gets caught in the wheel. And so it weakened my ankle. And then I have had issues and this is all on my left side, my knee and then my hip. And it's because often we can overcompensate for different injuries. So my ankle was weaker, so then my knee and my hips overcompensating. And that's the physical explanation for it. But then the deeper reasoning is, okay, so, why on a spiritual level, why did I choose to have that incident happen? What is my body trying to teach me? And it's very interesting. And for me, it's all on the feminine side, or left side. So it's very, very interesting. And, and it's interesting because I think I do tend to be a little bit too masculine sometimes, because I grew up with a single mum, and so I would try and step in and help my mum out as much as I could. And then I think, it's very easy to get caught up in trying to be the provider and trying to do a lot of masculine orientated stuff. And so, so that could be something to look at as well, Shane, to just kind of explore and just think, maybe am I balanced in the masculine and feminine energies? Because it doesn't matter who you are, what you identify as, what you physically, biologically are born as. It doesn't matter. We all need to balance our feminine and masculine energy so that we are in a healthy balance with both.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And I'm so glad. That makes me so happy. Yeah, exercise changes things.
That's
Even
so great.
If you take the spirituality out of it, there's no drawback, right? It calms your nervous system down. I also, Shane, what Paula is saying too is really, really, it's true. Sometimes it's not as simple as like one issue. It is sometimes about like balancing the two energies. So we have something called Hatha Yoga. It comes from the Hatha Yoga Pradikapa, which is like a 2,000, like the Yoga Sutras are like 5,000 years old. The Hatha Yoga Pradikapa is like 2,000 years old. So it's a younger book. It's 3,000 years younger. Over here in America, people get really, really, really confused. They call it Hatha Yoga, and they think it's like one specific style of yoga. Which I always tell people, if you're going to a yoga studio that has a Hatha Yoga class, probably shouldn't go to that studio, because they don't understand what's not Hatha anyway. It's Hatha Yoga. All Hatha Yoga is, all that means is exercise. So Hatha, so we talk about the masculine and feminine energy, right? So pranic energy is masculine. That's your upward rising. That's your inhale, right? That's the sun. The sun is the emblem. Apana is your feminine energy. That's your downward rising energy. That's your exhale. It's also like going to the bathroom. And we have both in our body. Now, women, biologically, physiologically, people who have an XX chromosome, like Paula and myself and Jojo and many of the people in the chat, we're aponic physically because our dominating energy is feminine. We're women. We're biological women. So what's the biggest thing, aponic thing a biological woman does is have a baby, that pushing down.
Yeah.
Right? That's aponic. And so there's power in both prana and apana. Men are predominantly Puranic. That's why their upper body is bigger than their, you can see it in the shape of our bodies, like the sun, the yang, the sun and the moon. But with that being said, we have both. Like men have apana and women have prana. So, and so sweat would be pranic, right? Again, exhaling, going to the bathroom, that's aponic. These are just minor examples of what this energy represents. And so Hatha, which the sun is prana, the moon is apana. Hatha means sun, moon. Sun, moon. So it's juggling sun, moon, it's juggling. Well, that's what you're doing anytime you exercise. You're doing Hatha Yoga, because you're upping the inhale and the exhale, you've quickened it, and you're moving the energy, whether that's a barre class, a yoga class, a cardio class, running, lifting weights. Your heart rate's rising, your inhale and exhale are going faster, and you're moving your body and burning parts of the body that are opening vayus or pathways for that energy to yo-yo through. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so when we look at it from that perspective, when we look at shadow work, and we think about Hatha Yoga, sun, moon, they're working together, always working together. In this physical body, they're always working together. Sometimes it is a balance. It's about balancing the Hatha. It's about balancing the apana and the prana, right? Now, with that being said, we look at our collective karma, and we have this thing from like the woke side about like, toxic masculinity, which I think isn't really a thing. I think what's happened is men have lost a lot of what makes them men. And I think women have also lost a lot of what makes them women. So what Paula is saying, I have struggled with as well. And Todd and I, with Lou, you guys see, that's what we're working on, is because I want to be the female in the relationship. I want that role. But I also, because of who I am as a person, I enjoy creating things, I enjoy working, but I also have a fear, a very big fear of being alone. Right? I have a hard time trusting that it's not about Todd, it's just about knowing that a man's going to take care of everything. So that's something that I and that's why my right kind of dominates over my left. Right? It's because I want to be the wife, but to relax and listen, Todd does take care of everything. We are there, but I still have that anxiety. And
because it's and also it could be to do with your childhood, with your parents, and the kind of upbringing you had and the beliefs that you have as you're growing up, and it can affect you even if your parents were together or whatever. It can still affect you, and depending on how your parents were, all of that programming, and in society, watching movies, all kinds of programming we adopt, and it's all in our subconscious mind. So even if you are in a great healthy relationship right now, you still have those issues there to deal with yourself, and the only person that can deal with them, is yourself.
Yep.
So that's where shadow work is so important, to spend that time. And you're really only going to do that when you take the time to sit there and go within. And I know how hard it is.
It's so hard. Sometimes it's like hitting a rock. Like I have a really hard time trusting the universe. Like Todd and I had that discussion just yesterday, actually. Where Todd's really good about that, but I have a hard time with that. I have a hard time because life has been hard. Life has been really tough. And in a lot of ways, I feel like I've never really had a break. And some people do. And so it's that, but that's obviously what I signed up for, right? So I have to own that. And it takes me actually sitting down and reflecting on how my life has worked out. And what's happening though with me, and I'm saying this because is I also had this expectation as a child of what my adult life was going to look like.
Right.
And it hasn't necessarily turned out that way. So I think that's where the resistance comes.
I can relate to that.
And so you're like, something must be broken. I must be broken, right? Because I thought
it didn't go how I thought it was going to go.
Did not happen this way. And the funny thing is I wanted to travel the world. That happened. But I thought I was also going to have kids and, a more stable life. But the reality is I couldn't have both. You can't do both. Right? 8-year-old Brice thought you could do both, but 8-year-old Brice didn't know about taxes and water bills and mortgages, and so it's learning to release and accept. And I did have, we have this Sanskrit word, I think it's important for people, called prativa. And we have these little moments of prativa, and this is a flash of illumination where all of a sudden things click. And so having these moments of clarity, it seems like, Jojo, you've kind of had some prativa. It doesn't mean that all the clarity lasts. Sometimes you go back to being kind of, karma, old habits die hard, right? Karma sometimes has a hard time burning itself out. And so it's just, and that goes back to metacognition, to be able to recognize where that anxiety is coming from. Right? Where is that coming from? Why, when you're with the best man in the world who would never let you go homeless, why are you still having trouble trusting? Well, you don't have trust in the universe. Well, why? Because your life didn't turn out the way you thought it was. And it's scary for a lot of us. A lot of us are not, I'm the first person in my family to do what I've done. So I don't have a reference point. A lot of my family members are doctors, and my mom was a housewife. They have these normal careers where they have a 401k and a Roth IRA, and they have their retirement. But when you do what Todd and I do, it's very different.
Very different, yeah.
You do it till you die, basically. You don't retire. No yoga teacher ever retires. And so it's there's not as much stability, but there's also not as much debt and burden too. So I think sometimes we have to look deeper at, and that's that metacognition, to think about thinking. Why do I think this way? What is triggering these thoughts? And to observe that. And then all of a sudden the little aches and pains in your body start to make sense. right?
And then also with the metacognition, it's also training yourself to have new habits.
Mm-hmm.
So what I've been practicing a lot lately is, well, just to bring up Kabbalah again, what I've been learning is to build trust and certainty in the universe. Because like you, Brice, I have had a lot of issues with trusting the universe. And so I've really been working on that a lot lately. And so the practice is that when something negative happens, or a challenge, or something where you'd normally react and you might get heated, or you might fall into feeling depressed, or whatever emotion normally comes up, you need to just pause and just breathe for a moment. And then instead of reacting like you normally would, you could choose to respond, and to choose to respond in a more loving and compassionate way, and trust that whatever is happening for your highest good. And I have been, it's been challenging, but I have been doing this probably since about October last year. And and so basically just training myself to build up trust and certainty in the universe, and build up a relationship with the universe, to believe that the universe is doing things for me, not against me, and I think that's a big thing.
I think that's natural to want to like put it onto something else, but how much more powerful is it to realize you're doing it to yourself?
Yeah, that's true.
Have you seen that picture of that little kid? It's like before spirituality, and looks like someone's stepping on him with a boot, and the kid's crying. And then it says after spirituality, and the camera goes up, and it's the kid with his hand in the boot putting it on himself.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So that's why I love the Hindu perspective of, the demonic demons, Lizzies, whatever you want to call them. If you look at, I think they will take advantage of your weakness. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But if you look at them as a way to help you get stronger, they lose their power.
Yeah. And I mean, like in terms of quantum healing and spiritual healing, yes, a lot of us can get attachments that can attach to us and can influence our thoughts, but they tend to only be drawn to people that are already in those negative thoughts and the negative mindset. So that's where it's very, very important to practice metacognition and to watch your thoughts. Be aware of the way you're talking to yourself. Are you criticizing yourself? Are you putting yourself down all the time? Are you, viewing everything that happens? Okay, so I watched this, I think it was a TikTok or a reel or something, and it was about when drivers are being rude and they might cut you off on the road, and instead of being angry and thinking, oh my God, they're so rude, you could just think, well, maybe they're really in a rush, or maybe they just really need to go to the toilet and need to do a poo.
Yeah.
And then you can just laugh about it, instead of getting all upset.
It's they might come if you stay in that, but you can just push them away and be like, what is it that Tamara says? Like whenever you have a bad thought, like cancel.
Yeah, cancel. Exactly.
Yeah,
don't give them your power.
Yeah. And it's normal to have self-deprecating thoughts. It's normal to have those self-esteem or confidence issues. That's part of being human. But to like understand, like sometimes it's better to know that you're not alone, that like everybody's going through that. Like everybody is having those issues. It's just, you're not broken for having, that's part of your growth as a human. And I also see it as resistance training. So when you go lift weights at the gym, you're doing resistance training. You're adding more weight so that you have more pressure, so that your muscles break down and grow back stronger. Yeah. So that's what these bad thoughts are doing for you as well. That's your resistance training, right? And so it's
analogy.
And that's when I first started practicing yoga, and I actually had a Reiki person tell me this, that yoga had saved me, because I get caught up in the paranormal. I get attacked all the time paranormally. And when I started practicing yoga and really grounded into this, it got so much better because I wasn't afraid anymore. I was taking control of that space. And so that's part of that metacognition too, is to be able to see yourself, truly see yourself and see your thoughts, and to see what's harming you and what's not. And to be able to not judge yourself for it, just be the witness. Interesting. Like that one class that you avoid, like there's exercise classes that people avoid like the plague. Well, the funny thing is, that's probably the class you should be doing.
Yeah.
The one that triggers you the most is probably
the one that you don't want to do.
that you should be doing, right? And so, yeah, if you can laugh at yourself, that's better. That's good too. That's metacognition, is to be able to laugh at yourself and be like, well, I'm a dumbass. Like, and that's why I love one of my favorite things to do is to sit at the end of like a road race. Like when the Peachtree Kit, we put a video up. I love being at the finish line of road races. It's my favorite thing to do. I will sit there all day because you know why? You're seeing the best of humanity. You're seeing people like cross that line crying. You feel their adrenaline. And as a human being, you connect to that because you've been that way. You've been that person before. It might not have been a road race. It might have been something else where you really didn't think you could do it and you did it.
Yeah, and you did it. And it's the best feeling.
You did it. It might have sucked. No one promised it was going to be easy. Right. And that's the thing you got to let go of too. Like to finish a workout, to finish a road race, it's not going to be easy. There are going to be times. That's the mind, right? There are going to be times when your mind's like this sucks. It's hot. I'm hungry. I got another hour running. Like, oh my God, this is awful. It's going to suck. But that's what makes finishing so sweet. Because you had all those experiences, but you did it anyway. In our Alchemy of Movement, the original chorus, he used to say, like, when that mind stuff comes up, that mind funk comes up, what happens if you just stay? Like, what if you say to your mind, yeah, I hear you, but what would happen if we just stay? Just 2 more minutes. And you're going to feel so much power in just that. When you just say to your mind, I'm just going to stay for like 2 more minutes. Like all of a sudden you've taken control. Your mind's not in control. You are. You're in control. And so I wanted to pull up this though, Paula, the Shakshi, so people could kind of see it from a yogic perspective of what metacognition is. So this is just a Wikipedia page. It's good enough. So the Sakshi is the witness, is the pure awareness that witnesses all things and events. It witnesses all thoughts, words, and deeds without affecting them or being affected by them. It is beyond time and space and the triad of experiencer, experiencing, and experienced. The Shakshi or Shiva consciousness, along with the Shakti, our nature, represents Brahma, the totality itself in the most fundamental state, the almighty and all-pervasive, revealed in ancient Hindu philosophy text. So again, the Shakshi observer is self-witness. It's witnessing. So this goes back to, did it change to metacognition? No, hold on, let me change it back to metacognition. It's the same thing. So all these people who think that yoga is of the devil, well, it's science too. It's metacognition as well. That's the Shakshi. Metacognition is an awareness of one's thought processes and understanding of the patterns behind them. It is thinking about thinking. The term comes from the word meta, meaning beyond or on top of. Metacognition can take many forms, such as reflecting on one's way of thinking and knowing when and how one's self and others are use particular strategies for problem solving. All right. So you can look, it's the same thing as the Shakshi. It's the exact same thing. And I think too, Paula, speaking of metacognition, one thing I kind of wanted to end on, because I think this is where people get stuck too. We have been sold a bill of lies when it comes to spirituality. We think spirituality has to be like incense burning in a cave, in a tent with psychedelics. I mean, that you can do that. That's an experience with all these different healers around rubbing oils on us. But actually it's much simpler. It's just putting on a workout video. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Just going on to Fusion Body Studio, clicking a 30-minute workout video, or wherever you're working out. You don't have to be with us. We're just happy you're moving, right? And I think sometimes, Paula, people, even though that's not simple, that workout is probably the hardest 30 minutes to an hour you're doing all day mentally. It's not simple, but there's no pomp and circumstance. And I think we're confused by that.
Yeah, I think people get very carried away with what spirituality should look like, but really I think it's getting to know yourself, spending time with yourself and getting to know who you are as a person. And metacognition is just the perfect way to understand all of that, because when you understand that you are so much more than the thoughts and the emotions that automatically come up, and when we're remembering that all of that is coming from our subconscious mind, and we can't always trust our subconscious mind because, as we said at the beginning, that is what is coming from all of the programming that we had as a child and what we adopted and what beliefs of our culture and family and whatever else is at TV and school. Everything has influenced our subconscious mind. And so our subconscious mind just works on automatic response. So it is with our conscious mind, we need to be consciously aware of what thoughts are coming in and retrain them.
Absolutely.
Retrain
That's
them.
as simple as that. Yeah. You're not here to escape the planet. This is not a prison planet. That's not how spirit works. You came here on purpose.
Yeah, well, you chose to be here at this time.
And in this moment, like, as I love Cindy always says, spirit is what you are permanently, but human is what you're being asked to do right now. You are a mind, body, spirit complex. If you are doing a spiritual practice that is taking you out of your body, that is dangerous. That's not spirituality. If you're doing a spiritual practice that is pulling you out of spirit, that's keeping you too locked into the prakriti, that's dangerous. That's why exercise is simply perfect, because it's that whole mind, body, spirit. Everything is there at one time. Spirituality is about the here now, not the there then.
Yeah, and exercise really helps you to be present in the moment.
That people get shocked when I tell them in India we're not allowed to do seated meditation. I'm like, honey, that is a 3-letter agency psyop. Seated meditation. They don't do that in India. They'll smack you if you do that in India. They'll tell you mind too crazy, psychosis, neuroses, that's coming. You have to be engaged in all three, the mind, body, spirit. That's meditation. That's that flow of that one pointed thought, which happens when we are uncomfortable, when the hatha yoga. So that's why exercise, that's why India, Egypt, the Druids, the Celtics, the Native Americans, every ancient group across the world all had the same basis of spirituality, exercise. They didn't call it like bar class. That's why we call it fusing ancient wisdom with modern movement. They weren't doing bar. They were doing cardio, right? They were doing jazzercise. They were doing what they did to move their energy, which was exercise. And so it's as simple as that. And I tell people a lot, like, we learned this in India. Some of the most spiritual people you will truly ever meet are dressed like Ned Flanders. They look like your dad. They have their t-shirt stuck into their cat. They're just normal. They're normal. And when we think we need to go someone who wears costumes, like, first of all, you're never supposed to even wear mala beads. Mala beads are not supposed to be seen by the public. If you do japa meditation, which is a mantra, it's not a seated, it's as an active meditation with a mala bead. No one is supposed to see those mala beads but you. So if someone's wearing mala beads, that's red flag. If someone dresses in a particular way to sell you an idea of what they are, that's a red flag. My Param guru in India, who was the richest man in India, South India, when he was alive, he alternated between 2 pairs of Nike shorts, blue and red, every other day. And he wore almost the same t-shirt every day. It was a Christmas t-shirt from Stanford University. He wasn't wearing a lungi. He was wearing an old Christmas t-shirt and Nike shorts.
Because I think when you're truly spiritual, then you know what's important, and how you're dressing is really not that really important.
And you're not divorcing yourself from the world.
Yeah.
You're not going, ashrams are only meant to be like a pause for like a week or two. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Reason. Good reason.
You are supposed to be in the world. You're supposed to be wearing those stiletto high heels out with your girlfriends on a Saturday night, right?
That's where the real challenges happen. It's dealing with, you could influence millions of people in the world, but if you're then going home and you're not treating your family with respect, if you're not treating the people that are pushing in front of you, on the road, and they're being rude and you're swearing at them, that's not spirituality, is it? It's like, we need to be in everyday life because that's where all the challenges happen, and that's where we're constantly being tested. And
if you're divorcing yourself from the human experience, then you've missed the point of spirituality. You came here to be human. If you're divorcing yourself from that, then you're probably buying yourself a ticket back because you missed the point of the ride, you know? And I see so many people join the spiritual bus and they like stop going to the movies. They stop listening to music. And it's like, why would you do that?
Oh, but that's so much fun.
Why would you do that? Right? Like, why would you do that? Like, your spiritual practice is supposed to support your life. It's supposed to help you have deeper meaning. As Sri Swami Satchitananda says in his commentary of the Yoga Sutras, when you start to recognize, when that Shakti, that metacognition, you start to recognize your own consciousness, your own soul, then you start to see it in others too. And then you start to live deeper in your life. You start to like really live your life, really be present because you know it's temporary, you know it's not permanent. And so you really you enjoy those moments of dancing to the Beatles with your children in the living room.
Yeah.
Or going out.
Scarlett and I have been doing a lot of Michael Jackson lately because we went and saw Michael Jackson. It was a theatre performance about his life. And we just been playing all the songs because they just make us so happy. He was such a brilliant artist.
Absolutely.
And it's like those moments, that spirituality is like dancing and connecting with your kids and with your family and just being human. Those
utterly human.
Being human.
We get a lot of people in the Ashtanga world where they get deep into their Ashtanga practice, and a lot of them, we get a lot of like long distance runners, like people who like extreme sports usually end up in Ashtanga. And I'll have students say to me like, you know, should I stop running? Because I don't want to get tight. You know, I'm opening up my hips and I don't, you know, should I stop running? And I always say, well, that depends. They're like, what does it depend on? I'm like, do you enjoy running? Do you enjoy it? They're like, yeah. I'm like, then why would you stop?
Why stop? Yeah.
Your hips might be a little bit tighter from running, but who cares? If you enjoy it,
it's important.
You need to do it on top of your Ashtanga. It's fine. And do it. Don't punish yourself. Listen, the world you're going to have enough suffering in your karma. You don't need to create more.
We don't need to add to it.
You don't need to create more, right? And so like Todd gets that with people we have a lot of like skateboarders, and Todd used to skateboard. He doesn't anymore because he's generally afraid he's going to break his hands and he needs his hands to work. But once he retires, he'll probably skateboard more again. But we have people say that all the time, and Todd's like, if you like skateboarding, skateboard. It's okay. Because with skateboarders, one of their sides does get more stronger because they lead with the side, like surfers. Yeah. And Todd's like, it's fine. It's okay. So what if your hips are a little bit tight? Mm-hmm. So what? So what if you're hungover on a random Thursday because you went out and had a blast with a girlfriend you hadn't seen or a family member you hadn't seen in 10 years the night before?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Just have a hangover the next day. It's fine. You know, so do not divorce yourself from you. Mm-hmm. Even though the you that you're living right now is the illusionary world, the Prakriti, it's still the one you're living right now.
Yeah. And you want to enjoy that moment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so that's why I think working out too, because when people work out, like when you're doing modern workouts like Barre, you're in modern movement. We're listening to modern music.
Yes.
We're experiencing it from a modern
perspective. It is fun. It is fun. I find it fun doing your dances, and you pick great music. So it makes it all really fun.
Todd thinks it's funny because I'm still learning how to work with the mic pack. And so when I have to jump up and down and I feel that box like in the back of my pants, I'm always afraid my pants are going to fall right down because the box is so heavy. And Todd's like, you can totally tell from before you had the mic pack to now that you're like resistant. Because I'm like, I don't want my hoo-ha. Like, I don't want so yeah. So it's so do hard things every day in your workout because you can. Mm-hmm. You can. One of my favorite sayings is, but did you die? Yeah, but did you die? We'd be like, oh my God, that was so hard. I'm like, yeah, but did you die?
Oh, I'm going to use that with my teenage girls.
No.
Everything's so dramatic when you're a teenager. So I'm like, yeah, but did you die? No.
And you know what? You can be dramatic AF in your workout as long as you finish it.
Yeah.
You can sit there and curse. I always say in my yoga rooms, you know, a lot of the fake yoga teachers, fake bullshit, and they do the yoga voice and they kind of mind control you through like the music and the voice. But when you come to my yoga classes, it's not like that. When you go to a traditional yoga class, the teacher doesn't change their voice. I talk to you like I'm talking to you now. And we laugh and we make jokes and people drop F-bombs. And I always say, like, if you got to scream out an F-bomb in the middle of the class because the back bend is gnarly, do it.
Mm-hmm.
This is Las Vegas. What stays in here, what happens in here stays in here. You know, it's real, it's raw, it's raw. And so don't be don't just be you. Tomorrow you'll do 2 extra push-ups and chin-ups. Do some crunches too. Shane, do some crunches too. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know what might be good for you too, Shane, to try is a forearm plank. Clasp your hands together and make your forearms like a tripod. So make sure they're not out to here, but like right here. And then get onto your toes, squeeze your legs together, and then push the floor away from you with your forearms. And so you're creating a mountain in between your shoulder blades, not a valley. Mm-hmm. And then pull the belly button in, squeeze your legs together, and hold that for like 30 seconds before you do your push-ups and your chin-ups. And that could be all it takes to activate the core and all the muscles. So, yeah. All right. Well, we've been going almost an hour and a half. I could talk about this all day. I love
I know. I could keep chatting too, but I'm getting very distracted this evening with the cat, the dog, and the 7-year-old.
Yeah, but listen, that's your life as mom. That's the truth, right?
This is real life.
That's how it is. And I love talking about this because I know sometimes people think I'm tough love, and I am tough love because my teachers are tough love. But I think for me, human beings are so unbelievably beautiful and strong and powerful. And nothing pisses me off more when a strong human being is falling into the mind traps of their own limitations. Because the limitations, they only exist in your mind. They don't exist for real. They only exist in your mind. And so you are so much stronger than you think you are. And I will say, Shane, Paula and I have been sharing like crazy clips of like 70-year-olds, 80-year-olds. The elbow, you want me to say it again? So it's for your core. So forearm planks. So what you're going to do, Shane, and anybody listening, this is good for everybody. You're going to clasp your hands together like this to give you support. Bring your elbows like a tripod. So it's not like this, it's like a pyramid like that. And that's going to help secure your shoulder. And you're going to come into a forearm plank. So you're doing a plank on your forearms. And you're going to push the floor away from you with your forearms and press into your toes, the backs of your heels, squeeze your legs together. And then your shoulder blades, what that's going to create in your shoulder blades, I want you to pay attention to your rhomboids, that space in your shoulder blades, right? So you have your shoulder blades. Between them, you want to create a mountain. So you're pushing so hard into the mat that you're creating a mountain in the shoulder blades, not a valley. It's a mountain. And when that push happens, and then you squeeze your thighs together and press through your heels and into your big toes. It's going to create a chain reaction up your body where all of your muscles go right into the axis line.
And it really works your core.
Yeah, it really works your core. And that's really like, so sometimes aches and pains are literally just you're not activating enough. You're not pressing into the right place. Also protraction, retraction. So that's what that comes from. We have a video up this on a Fusion Body, but protraction is this, where you're creating that mountain. Retraction is this, where you're creating the valley. We don't want retraction. That's where injury happens. We want protraction. So even for people who complain about their wrist issues, that's just weak core and weak shoulder. That's all that is. So you just got to push more into it. Push into all 10 fingers. Like when you watch people do handstands, their hands never flat, is it? It's the fingers are curved a little bit, so you're gripping. So try that in your push-ups as well. To really grip, so you have that control of protraction through your torso, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Does that make sense? It makes sense in my head. Does that make sense in y'all's head? So anyway, you guys, but anything else, Paula, before we sign out for the day?
Well, I have actually launched a little program to help people with money healing, because money is a huge issue for everybody, especially in this day and age. So I've kind of created a program to help people with just kind of, it's not so much about money, but it's more about, just like we were talking about, creating that trust and certainty with the universe, and just trusting that abundance can come in all different ways. So, yeah, for anybody that's interested, you can have a look at my website, which is just empoweredspirithealing.com. And, all the information is on there for anybody that is interested.
Hold on. I'm going to pull it up and put it in the chat for you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Let's see. All right, let's see here. Yeah, and we're here to help. That's like our thing, you know. Yeah, I know that this is what I do for a living and what Paula does for a living, but I feel like we don't even really work because it's so fun.
I know, we love it.
Like this with you guys, and this saved me. Like this changed, you know, growing up, being born in 1983, and Paula's an 80s baby as well. We were born into an area where, especially for women in the Western world, exercise was about weight loss. And so we kind of, I think for 80s babies and maybe some Gen Xers, maybe even some 90s babies, you kind of grew up with this mindset about exercise as punishment, and it's not. And it took me a long time. It did take me a while to break that train of thought. It's in the Shane. It's in the chat. Her website's in the chat, so you can just click right onto it. So once I broke that though, and I stopped thinking about burning calories, and I mean, you're going to burn calories regardless. Like, you don't even have to think about that. Your body's going to change. Like, that doesn't even be a thought. But when I started to be fascinated more with what was happening energetically in my body, that's when my life really started to change and it got more meaningful. And so that's why I'm happy to share that. And I get sick of all these fake people, these charlatans selling people snake oil that's just spinning them in circles and not giving them any clear. There's a lot of spiritual people out there that aren't giving you empowerment. They're not teaching you how to do this yourself. And any personal trainer or yoga teacher is going to teach you how to do it yourself. And that's where sovereignty lies. And so, yeah. And you guys, of course, you can always use my name, Brice 20, BRIC, all caps, to get 20% off your first 6 months. You do get a 7-day free trial. We will always do that because we're not a cult. We want you to be able to try us on and just see if it works for you. And even if Fusion Body doesn't work for you, we will do our best to help you find somewhere that works for you, because we really want people, we really want to help people. And so we have a great group. We have a great community chat. And so, yeah. We've got
beautiful members. We're very blessed.
Yeah. We have a lot of Australians in there. It's great. We have a lot of Canadians. Yeah. So it's awesome. And Todd is starting a whole new Ayurvedic playlist with recipes and stuff to give a little extra. And of course we have the spiritual courses as well. And I can't wait. The website is up. You can use the website, but we have some private pages because we're kind of remodeling it. We're putting new wallpaper up, remodeling the house.
He's doing an amazing job. He's been working really, really hard, making it look really amazing.
Should we tell them what we did just to have a laugh, Paula, what you and I were doing with the website? Because Paula and I are elder millennials. We were hashtagging it like Instagram. Apparently you don't do that with websites. So Todd had to go back and change everything because Paula and I were like, it's like Instagram. That's not what it's like with a website. So
a little bit different.
So bless his heart, because I'm just going to blame it on Paula and me being millennials, elder millennials. And so we were like, yeah, we know how to do. So I can't wait to show you guys. It's going to make it a lot easier for you guys. And Todd's really good at computers, and he's run his business off of a website for a long time. So anyway, you guys, is there anything else, Paula, before we head out?
No, just thanks everybody for joining us. It's been great chatting to you all. And
we'll see you at Fusion Body this week. On Friday, we're going to be filming 2 new workout videos. Todd's going to be filming a modified quarter primary series because we got a lot of requests from our Ashtanga, so he's going to do it modified with you guys to keep it safe. And then I'm also going to be, on the same day, I'm going to be filming a new bar class. So
awesome.
That'll be probably up either at the end of this week or beginning of next week. So, all right, you guys. Well, until next time, we'll see you later. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thoughts on the run, you scream and everybody comes.